Hello, welcome to our Thursday Mindfulness Zen. So, tonight in our section on anxiety, we're going to talk about how that you're not alone and how we can change our perspective. But before that, let's do some loving kindness meditation. So, some people may feel that love is such a big word and it's hard to feel very loving, to sort of bring out these feelings of love to people that we may not even know. So in this practice, we can kind of substitute it with this sense of being friendly, this sense of friendliness to others. So I think everybody can evoke this sense of friendliness to others. Even though we may not know them very well, we can be friendly to people that we don't know. So as we do this practice tonight, you can consider that, have that in mind, that we are expressing a sense of friendliness to others as we do the practice. So let's get into a comfortable but alert posture. You can close your eyes, or if you like to keep your eyes open, open them slightly and gaze downwards with a gentle, soft focus. Take a few moments to just settle in to this meditation, feeling the cushion under you, connecting with your breath. We begin by offering loving kindness to ourselves and wishing it upon ourselves with a sense of friendliness. May I be safe, be happy, be healthy. May I live peacefully. Repeat these 4 phrases at a speed and rhythm that is comfortable and pleasing for you. Do it silently. May I be safe, be happy. Next, try to bring to mind somebody who has shown you some kindness or has been good to you. See if you can think of someone like that. Kind of bring an image of them to mind. Feel their presence, and with a sense of friendliness and gift giving, offer them these wishes. May you be safe, be happy, be healthy. May you live peacefully. Now, it's pretty certain that your mind will wander off or get distracted by thoughts and images. When you notice that happening, don't worry. Realize that it's perfectly normal and there's nothing wrong. There's no mistake in your practice. That's what all our minds do. So when you notice it, just gently bring yourself back without judgment to repeating the phrases again. May you be safe, be happy, be healthy. May you live peacefully. Now, see if you can think of someone, your colleague, your friend, your family member, who might be going through a difficult or challenging time right now. So you want to think of someone like that. Bring them to mind and offer them these wishes of loving kindness. May you be safe, be happy, be healthy. May you live peacefully. May you be safe, be happy, be healthy. May you live peacefully. Next, see if you can bring to mind a neutral person. A neutral person is someone who you don't have very strong opinions or feelings towards. You don't have very strong likes, and you don't have strong dislikes towards them. And they're probably someone who you see occasionally. They may be the person who checks you out at the supermarket or serves you at your local cafe. Maybe you're someone who brings your mail. So see if you can think of someone like that. And then with the same sense of friendliness and gift giving, offer them these wishes. May you be safe, be happy, be healthy. May you live peacefully. And the practice is just repeating these phrases, bringing your whole attention to each phrase as you say it. May you be safe, be happy, be healthy. May you live peacefully. And lastly, let's offer loving kindness wishes to all beings. It's all beings who you are aware of, as well as those who you're not aware of. So bringing all beings into our practice. May all beings be safe, be happy, be healthy. May all beings live peacefully. May all beings be safe, be happy, be healthy. May all beings live peacefully. May all beings be safe, be happy, be healthy. May all beings live peacefully. When you're ready, start to open your eyes and bring your attention back to the room again. So, thank you very much for your practice. And tonight, we will continue our discussion on Zen and calming our anxiety. This is going to be the 8th talk on this topic. And we're going to talk about how we're not alone and how we may change our perspective. So, when we're in the middle of an episode of anxiety, it can feel like we're the only one who's having this awful experience. Everybody else seems to be okay. Everybody else seems to be well balanced emotionally, and we're the only ones that are suffering. But, as we know, and we've discovered, even rich, famous, and powerful people also go through periods of anxiety. And these are the celebrities who have kind of admitted to their struggles. Taylor Swift, Adele, Prince Harry of the UK royal family, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ed Sheeran, Kim and Khloe Kardashian, David Beckham. So, all these people have anxiety, and you may think, oh, there must be something wrong with them. Actually, there's nothing wrong with having anxiety in our lives, and it just shows how universal this anxiety experience is. It is not unusual. It is not wrong to feel anxiety. It is actually part of our survival instinct. Because anxiety is our response to potentially harmful threats in our environment. It's telling us, pay attention. Because something is out there, or something might possibly be out there, that can hurt you. So then we're alert and we are ready to protect ourselves. If the threat materializes, maybe it's a saber-toothed tiger, then we're ready to take action. We're ready to respond immediately. We either fight, run, flight, or we freeze. This is our fight, flight, freeze response. And it is controlled by a very small part of our brain. It's the most primitive part of our brain, and it's called the amygdala. But it responds emotionally. It doesn't respond logically, because thinking takes far too long. And if you're wanting to get yourself out of danger, somebody pulls a knife, you respond by running. You don't start to question, oh, why are you pulling a knife on me? Or can I defend myself? You just run. Or you fight. Or maybe you freeze. So this is this non-rational part of our brain, which responds in a very, very quickly, lightning fast, to keep us alive, or at least out of harm's way. So, because it is a very primitive part of our brain, and all animals have this particular structure in their brain, it does not, or is unable to distinguish between real or imagined threats. So imagine you're in your house at night. It's dark, it's stormy outside, lightning and thunder crashing around. You are alone. No one else is in the house. Suddenly, there's this blinding flash of lightning and deafening thunder, and all the power goes out. And not only your house, but all the houses in your area. It's completely dark. You're alone in this house, and you start to feel anxious. Is there someone knocking at the door? And you start to think of all the horror movies that you've watched before. And then you start to imagine things that might go happen to you. And then you start to get anxious. Maybe you run to bed and you pull the blanket over your head. Close your eyes tightly and hope that you can sleep and wake up next morning. So that's kind of like an imagined threat, but it evokes the same sort of physical response. Your heart starts to pound, you know, your head starts to get tight maybe, and then you just lose the perspective. You can only focus on this fear that there may be something or someone in this darkness that may hurt you. Well, apart from diving into your bed and hiding under the sheets, or maybe you might even decide, I'm going to make a run for it, and grab your car keys and run out the door and try to get into your car as fast as possible and drive to a friend's place or whatever. Are there any other options? Well, it turns out that one of the most promising ways to manage anxiety is to call upon our connections with other people. So this kind of social support, our social network, is known to be the strongest buffer against any mental illness. Now, we are actually wired to be social animals, wired to belong together, to support each other, and help each other. So this has shown to be able to help alleviate anxiety. And many studies have shown that strong social connections are one of the most important predictors of long-term health and happiness. There's a Harvard study of adult development that started in 1938 and is still going. And the key finding that they have from that study, this like 80 plus year study, 85 now I think, is that connections, relationships are the key to a happy and healthy life. That's all. That's the key thing that kind of, the key finding that kind of like exploded in front of all the researchers. That was the biggest result. So other people are our biggest help. But even so, asking for help from the people who are close to us can be hard. It can be really hard to pick up the phone, to call up your good friend and tell them that you're feeling very anxious or fearful. Okay? So here's a true story. This young woman was walking back from work, and then she felt that she was being followed by a strange man. So she managed to get back to her apartment safely, but could not shake off the feeling that this man had somehow also managed to get into the building. So she locked all her doors, closed and locked all the windows in her apartment, and then just sat in front of the TV, feeling her fear and anxiety start to kind of rise up. It's getting, really bad. So at that moment, she decided, I'm going to call 3 of my best friends, her besties from college. Now, they were all working in different cities, so they could not go to her. But what they did was to stay on the phone with her throughout the whole night. Sometimes 1 or 2 of them would fall asleep, but this phone was on whole night. She was connected with them via her phone until the morning came and she was no longer anxious. So this is how our friends can really help us. And they can be our first kind of first place we look to for some help when we're feeling a bit overwhelmed by anxiety. So Professor Brené Brown, who's a researcher into vulnerability and courage and a best-selling author, she talked about her experience when she was a student. And she was working in restaurants, waiting tables for 6 years to help pay for her tuition fees, her undergraduate and postgraduate tuition fees. So some days she'd get really stressed out with too much to do. And at other times, she would be overwhelmed. So this is what she told us. If she walked into the kitchen and said to another waiter, "I'm in the weeds," which meant that she was overstressed, then this waiter would say, "What do you need?" Then she would probably say, "Please take bread to tables 2 and 4 and re-tea tables 3 and 5, please." Then this other person would do it. So being in this weeds, being stressed out, happened to everyone on almost every shift. And that was just part of the job. You learned to manage it and you helped others who were in the weeds. Now, if she walked into the kitchen and said, "I'm blown," that was a completely different thing. Then the kitchen would go completely quiet, and then no one would ask what she needed. Someone would usually run to the hostess stand to find out what tables she was running that shift, and they wouldn't even ask her because they would assume that she wouldn't know already, would have forgotten. And then the kitchen manager would come in and then pull all the tickets for her guests, figure out what's going on, and then assign her tables to the other wait staff. So then she could go outside or go into the cooler or go to the bathroom to calm down or cry and whatever she needed to do. And then she would be expected to come back in about 10, 15 minutes. But for that time, she wouldn't have to worry about her work. She wouldn't have to think about the tables or the guests or her customers. They would completely help take over her job. So that's how reaching out to our friends and our co-workers can help us get through, anxious and challenging times. But it can feel like really difficult and intensely vulnerable to try to reach out and ask for help, but it feels like, I'm not good enough, so I need your help. But actually, what the research shows is that vulnerability takes courage, and vulnerability is actually the best indicator of courage. That means if you're willing to be vulnerable, you are a courageous person. And it does make sense when you really think about it, because it's very easy just to say, "I'm okay. I have got it all together. Don't have to worry about me," while inside you're like panicking. But you put on this fake front, and maybe you pretend to smile like everything's okay, whereas inside you're just like a complete hot mess. So it does take courage to say, I'm feeling like I can't handle the situation. I need help. So it takes courage to ask for help. It takes courage to admit that you need help. So when you're in an episode of anxiety, you can ask for help. You don't have to go through it alone. But if you feel that you don't know who to turn to for help, here's one suggestion. Try to look inwards using meditation. And this is a practice not only when you are having an anxious experience, but actually something that you need to practice regularly so that you build up this muscle that helps take you through your anxiety episodes. So you look inwards to develop a greater connection so you don't feel embarrassed to ask for help. So how does meditation do that? You know, it's something that we do alone, but how does it help us develop a greater sense of connection with other people? So we did that just now. You know, this loving kindness meditation is actually something that helps us build a sense of friendliness and also a connection, sense of connection with others, that we recognize that we're not alone. Everybody else also is in the same boat. So when you do meditation by yourself, it's kind of like a lab where you can experiment without many things going wrong, you know. You're just sitting by yourself. And then when you do this, it helps to kind of give you more of an experience, a sense that, I'm actually very connected with others and this world. That allows you to understand yourself better, as well as, you know, our human condition. So then when you start to see your own chaos or the noise in your head going on, you realize that everybody else also goes through the same stuff, you know. You're not alone. And that can allow you to have more empathy, more compassion, and to have these relationships, which also gives you more courage to ask for help, which will benefit you in the long run. So that's one way meditation can really help us. But what other things can help? Well, when anxiety is spinning in our heads and we're like feeling like there's nothing I can do, we're in this kind of like spin cycle like the washing machine, it can be really helpful to do something which can get us out of our head. That means having some sort of physical experience which is positive. Now, it can be something so obvious and perhaps cliched that it's easy for us to overlook when we're so caught up with our anxiety. And it is actually getting into nature. So our anxiety can feel like it has this really like vice-like grip on us. And it makes us feel so tight and so small that all we can see in that moment is just our anxiety and our fear. You know, it makes us kind of sort of fall into ourselves. But if we can change our perspective, change our environment, even if it's for just a short while, by stepping outside, getting a breath of fresh air, it can really reset our nervous system and kind of help bring us back to some sense of balance. So here's an idea. Try and find a place in nature that you can go to. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, in the wilds. It can be a small city park with some trees and some vegetation. A place where you can spend some time without getting disturbed by work or whatever is causing your anxiety. In Japan, there is a practice called Shinrin-yoku, which is forest bathing. And actually the government there started this in the 1980s because they found that, you know, the citizens of Japan, their mental health was deteriorating with all the technology that we're going through, all the screens and everything. So they encourage people to become, some people to become guides, to take people into the forest and give them an experience, and they call this experience forest bathing, which really means just going into the forest and spending some time there, either walking slowly or finding a place where you can sit down comfortably and just breathe. So you can use it as a meditative walk also. Now, they studied this extensively, called Shinrin-yoku or forest bathing, and it has been found to alleviate anxiety and depression, amongst other things like reducing stress, boosting immunity, and lifting your mood. So just getting into nature and feeling our connection with nature, because we are actually nature too, We're not concrete and steel and glass. So being in that natural environment actually is very helpful for us because we are a part of that. So if you can, try and do that. Then you can change your environment, change your perspective. Even though it may not be the first thing that might come to mind, but nature and green spaces are really valuable allies in helping us alleviate our sense of anxiety. Now, when you are experiencing anxiety, it may be helpful to remind yourself that this anxiety will not last forever. It's something that will pass. Like everything else, it just passes. It will change. It will start to diminish, and then you will return to a more normal state of mind. So that's very important if you can remember that when you're feeling anxious. And then if we can remember these strategies which are open to us, calling our friends or our close ones, and change our environment by going to nature, then we can learn to manage our anxiety experiences better. Okay? So these are a couple of things that we can do, and that's all tonight. Thank you for your practice and for joining us. We will continue our next week with our last discussion of anxiety, and we'll wrap up after that. So I hope you found this useful, and if you do, please like us and share us. And we're back here on Mondays and Thursday nights at the same time, 8:30 p.m. Malaysia time. So in the meantime, please have a lovely end to the week and a great weekend. Bye.